Let's start at Kafka's birthplace on Franz Kafka Square. You can view the aforementioned portal, which architect Vaclav Parizek incorporated into the new neo-Baroque building. As a reminder of the world-famous author, a bronze bust by sculptor Karel Hladík was unveiled on the facade of the house in 1965. Let's head right between the groups of tourists who are probably admiring the majestic statue of Jan who's in Old Town Square. But we'll turn right away to hide a little in the shade of those few trees. We will walk to the Old Town Hall and walk around it. Right in front of us, we can already see the Humanity House. The sgraffito on its walls was created in two stages, before 1600 and before 1615. This is the site of one of the misconceptions about Franz Kafka's life. It is often written that all of Franz's sisters were born here. The truth, however, is that the youngest, Ottla, was born in Soletna. But we'll head there in a moment. Let's first take the route that little Franz walked every day with the cook, who threatened to tell his teacher that he had been naughty. So let's return to Old Town Square, cross it, and slip between the Stone Bell House and Tyn School into the narrow Tinska Street. Right behind the church, we won't be fooled. We leave the main street and take the middle path through the arched passageway until we reach Masna Street. Let's walk a little further to the right and we'll arrive at Masna 16. Here stands the building of the municipal school attended by Franz Kafka. At the end of the 19th century, it was rebuilt in the neoclassical style and today it houses apartments. Here, little Franz squeezed into the desks with 80 other boys. We can return to Old Town Square to walk past the Kinsky Palace, where the grammar school was located. The place where Kafka learned Greek and Latin, began writing, and graduated from high school with only a quarter of his classmates. The others couldn't cope with the strict regime. Later, Hermann Kafka, Franz Kafka's father, moved his business here. It was not until the 1940s that the inscription Hermann Kafka disappeared from the door of the Baroque portal. At the square, turn left to get to Soletna Street, number 3. It stands between the Tyn Parish House and the house at the White Unicorn. On the right, we can see the house at Kameni Berenik, Stone Lamb, on Old Town Square, number 17. On the ground floor, there was a pharmacy called U Balho Jednaros at the White Unicorn, owned by Berta Fantover's family. During his studies, Franz attended cultural salons and listened to lectures and discussions on philosophy. Now we will go to Soletna Street, number 3. We are standing in front of the house where Kafka's youngest sister Ottla was born. Reportedly his favorite sister. Kafka had his apartment and shop here for many years. Here Franz got his own room and met the flirtatious shopkeeper across the street. So when we look back on the journey we have just taken, we see that Franz Kafka spent his childhood and adolescence within just a few meters and only got out during the holidays, when he traveled with his parents to the countryside to Rostoki or to Trieste to visit his uncle Siegfried. There is probably no point in going all the way to Charles Square, where Kafka studied chemistry for several weeks, so let's continue straight on from Soletna Street. On the way, we can see the unique house at the Black Madonna, turn right there, and head to the fruit market. We walk to the end and turn right, stopping in front of Carolinum, where the law faculty lecture halls were located. Here, Kafka was able to breathe a little easier for the first time. He met like-minded people here, and it is somewhat ironic that among the law students were future writers and artists who accompanied him for the rest of his life. While we are on the subject of Kafka's classmates, let's take a look at that legendary first journey with Max Brod. So let's quickly run through Ovachny TRH, trot along Havelska Street, and cross Uhelny TRH to reach Skorepka Street in a few minutes. Here, at number 1, on the corner of Jilska Street, stands the house where Max Brod's family lived. We have to tilt our heads back quite a bit to see the luxury apartment on the top floor, which was for sale in 2025. The buyer paid over 200 million crowns for it. At the same time, we must realize how close we are to Soletna Street. It is no wonder that Franz and Max #Frax, when they first met, had to walk back and forth several times to finish their discussion. Since we are so close, we can turn around and walk down N.A. Perstein Street to reach Narodny Trida. In Kafka's time, it was called Ferdinandowa Trida. We turn right. We cross the street, watching out for trams, which always ring their bells furiously to remind everyone that they have the right of way. Just a few steps further, and we are in front of the entrance to house number 22. You may be feeling a little tired by now, so let's have some coffee and cake at the Louvre Cafe on the second floor. On the tablecloth, we learn that Franz Kafka also used to come here. It is true that he used to come here to attend philosophical meetings, but after Max Brod fell out of favor, he never showed up at the Louvre again. Prague won't let us go, Kafka once wrote in his now legendary letter to Oscar Pollock. Neither you nor me, this mother has her claws. He probably had no idea how right he was, and it was probably the office that later held him back with all its might. Let's leave the cafe now and move on. Once you're outside, I recommend looking up. You'll see that all those shabby houses covered with garish advertisements on their upper floors are showing off their former beauty. In general, it's better to look up in Prague. Many buildings in the city centre are covered in graffiti at street level or resemble advertising billboards. But above, you can find what they once were. Buildings where the inhabitants of Prague used to live. Really lived. But let's hurry on. We'll walk past continue along Narodnitrida, and arrive at Wenceslas Square. Now we have to take N.A. Prekope Street. In Kafka's time, a tram ran along this street, but we have to walk. When we reach the end, let's stop at the Powder Tower. This is where Kafka met his friend Max Brod every day, who often had to wait for him because Kafka was always late. We walk around the municipal house and arrive at Republic Square. We avoid the tram and continue down Porici Street. We walk past Palladium and come to house number 17. Here, Kafka could finish work as early as 2 o'clock in the afternoon, which gave him a little time to write. We will end our walk here today. If you are interested in other places in Prague connected with Franz Kafka, please write in the comments.